This full moon in Taurus 2024 can change the game for you. It can simplify your life and help you step into your power. I'm going to tell you all about it. Before we get into the video, make sure to subscribe, give me a like, and hit the notification bell so you can make sure to stay up to date with all the videos I release and we can continue to build this astrology relationship together. Okay, let's get into it. This full moon in Taurus feels like a massive breakthrough when it comes to how we go about manifesting in the material plane. And it's really related to how we manifest things from our self-worth. And it's really about finding balance and harmony between our skills and us putting the effort in and us putting work in the material plane and utilizing our power and the power of the universe in order to get bigger projects done. You know, if we think about investments, for example, you can make your own money, Taurus. You can bring in your own income through your own skills, through your own effort, through hours worked, whatever. But if you ever want to be a billionaire and grow that money, it's going to take a lot of hours and a lot of effort if you do this all on your own. Versus if you utilize the power, that's Scorpio energy. Scorpio energy is power. It combines resources. It shares resources in order to expand them and grow them bigger and use the power of the collective in order to create new ground for humanity, in order to manifest at a faster speed. And a lot of us are stuck in the make money for me, use my skills, how can I make more money? And right now we're finding balance between, yes, we need to make money, and when we blend with the collective, when we use our power, our energetic power, the power of shared resources, we use magic, we find balance and harmony between our skills and our power, and we can actually manifest things into our life on a much greater scale in a much bigger way. We're learning how that we've actually been sabotaging ourselves through how we've gone about manifesting in our lives. When we have a full moon, it is a buildup of energy. It is a buildup of emotion. It is something that builds up that then we release. That is what a full moon is about. It's about a release so we can continue on the manifestation journey. Now, what is building to this big release is we have Saturn in Pisces square Mercury in Sagittarius. And at this full moon, they'll still be in a loose square. But the exact of that square is going to happen earlier in the week. And this square is going to cause roadblocks for you that you cannot see. If you've always gone about achieving your goals in a certain way, this is our last week basically working through Pluto and Capricorn. We'll never have Pluto and Capricorn again. So it's transforming how we go about reaching our goals, how we go about stepping into the version of us that's an authority, stepping into our legacy. It's how we go about creating our reputation and all those different things. And because this is our last chance to transform those things, right now, Saturn in Pisces is blocking us. It's blocking us because it wants to show us where we are engaging in a power struggle when it comes to reaching our goals, and it's actually making it way harder to reach our goals. So if we think about Saturn in Pisces is bringing up fears around time, number one, because Saturn rules time. And when Saturn is in Pisces, ever since Saturn moved into Pisces, I've noticed a lot of people saying that it feels like time is just like going at the speed of light. I've even heard kids say this. You know, when kids are saying time is moving fast, it's moving fucking fast. So since Saturn moved into Pisces, it can feel like time has just been getting lost and slipping away. Why? Because Pisces makes things slip away. It makes things disappear. It makes things hard to grasp onto. And Saturn wants us to put up new structures and boundaries. It wants us to heal through things that are sabotaging us as it relates to time, as it relates to responsibility, as it relates to where we might put rose-colored glasses on, where we might be overly sensitive, where we self-sacrifice. These are all themes that Saturn is helping us tie. And so one of the themes is time scarcity. What sabotages us more than anything when it comes to reaching our goals is feeling like there's so much to do and there's not enough time and I have to find the perfect path there. If I think about Mercury in Sagittarius, it wants to grow and expand. It wants to think big. It wants more and more and more. It's like the grass is always greener. It can chase shiny objects. It can feel like there's so much ground to cover, and how do we cover it all with a square to Saturn in Pisces? It's like we don't have enough time. And so you might find that you feel blocked this week because you don't have enough time, and then you're freaking out about something, and then an opportunity gets taken away from you. You could feel blocked this week because maybe someone says something to you that makes you feel really crappy, and it just affirms what you already believe about yourself, and then you decide to sabotage what you're doing because of what that person said, instead of realizing that what anyone says is just a projection. Even what you think about other people is just a projection. It's not real. It's not fact. It's not truth. But we like to take projections as real and fact and truth. Like when a person does something that we don't agree with, we like to say they're a bad person. They suck at doing this. They're not good at this. But if you spot it, you got it. There is a mentor that my boyfriend and I follow, Paul Chek. He says, if you're pointing a finger at someone, two fingers are pointing back at you. And that is what Saturn in Pisces has been teaching us and showing us, is it's been revealing where we sabotage ourselves because we project onto other people, and people project onto us, and we take that as truth. It's showing us where we project our fears onto other people. How often do we block ourselves in relationship or block ourselves from being our authentic selves because we feel like we need to coddle the other person? We don't want to talk to them a certain way because if someone talked to us that way, we'd be upset. So, okay, we got to make sure they don't get upset about this, and we got to make sure they don't get upset about that. We're just projecting our fears onto these people. We don't really know if they feel that way. And that is a form of self-sabotage that Saturn is here to show us. It wants to show us where we're projecting and then blocking ourselves, where we're in time scarcity and then we're blocking ourselves. It's also showing us where our energy really does impact how much we manifest things. The sun is in Scorpio right now. The sun wants to be in control, and that is the low vibe of Scorpio. The high vibe of Scorpio is power, and you want to know what real power is. It is not controlling every step of the journey on your way to your goals. Pluto rules Scorpio, and this is our last week, Pluto in Capricorn. You see the correlation? How Scorpio season, this full moon, this is our last chance to rework power struggles when it comes to going after our goals. And the sun in Scorpio is trining Neptune in Pisces at this full moon. It's helping us become aware of where we sabotage ourselves because we try to control things. And one form of control is controlling time and wanting to make sure you have enough time and you do the right thing and you don't waste any time, right? When we're so worried about wasting time, what do you think we end up manifesting? Blocks. We end up wasting more time because we're trying to get it perfect, and we're squeezing and we're constricting. We're not allowing for the flow and magic of life. Back to what I talked about in the beginning, in the beginning of this video / podcast, is I was talking about how we're finding harmony between our effort and the magic of life and the power of life. On the low vibe, we're in control. We think that we have to do every part of the journey and we have to get it perfect, and we're not present. The low vibe of Scorpio is not present. It's very much in the mind. It's not using its power to manifest. And what does it mean to use your power to manifest? It means getting in the energy of the person who has the thing you want and moving from that energy and trusting that when you move from that energy, all will work out. And it's not controlling every step of the process. If you feel like you need to be in control and constantly checking whether everything's going to be okay, whether it's working out, whether the plan is working out, you're blocking yourself because you're not allowing for flow. You're not allowing for magic. You're not allowing for receiving, and you're infusing fear into every step of your manifestation. You're infusing fear into every step of the process. That's why we control, because we have fears. And because we have fears, we want to make sure things happen, so we'll force them. With the trine from the sun in Scorpio to Neptune in Pisces, it's helping us surrender. Saturn is also in Pisces. It wants us to do our Saturn work. It doesn't want us to believe the projections that we place on our external reality, and it doesn't want us to believe the projections that other people place on us. It wants us to be in our power. And this full moon, I said, is coming with a massive breakthrough in our self-worth because Uranus and Taurus is with this moon. Uranus and Taurus has been breaking us free from our self-worth, but it's also been helping us become more present, make our lives more simple, make us take our time and be more slow and actually realize when we take our time and connect to our senses, that's when we get into that work less, receive more mentality because we're more connected to the magic of the universe. We're not controlling. Scorpio versus Taurus, these are two opposite polarity signs. That's what creates a full moon. The sun is in Scorpio, the moon is in Taurus. The sun in Scorpio is much more mental, a very deep thinker. It's into magic and witch and occult things, and it's much more psychological, whereas Taurus is very present. And that's why it feels worthy. It knows that it's worthy because it is. The low vibe of Scorpio, when it's not in its power, it tries to prove that it's worthy. It's got to control. It's got to make sure that you know it. And that just blocks it. And here's the thing. I've been talking about this ever since the North Node moved into Aries, but self-concept work. We've been learning to step into our new self-concept. We've been learning to anchor in our identity. And it's actually our identity and our self-concept that manifests everything into our life. Whatever you believe you are then impacts how you show up. It impacts how you respond to what someone said to you. If someone was projecting onto you that you're a purple elephant, but your self-concept is that you are a pink fairy, when someone tells you you're a purple elephant, and you truly believe you're a pink fairy, you're not going to think twice about what they said. You're going to think, is that person crazy? Are they okay? That's what? Like, you wouldn't even take in the projection of someone else and then sabotage yourself when you have a solid self-concept. And what's really interesting is at this full moon is ruled by Venus. The moon is in Taurus. That is a Venus-ruled sign. And when I look at Venus, Venus is in Capricorn at 4 degrees, and it's squaring. It's in a challenging aspect to the North Node in Aries. The North Node in Aries wants you to step into this new bold confidence. It wants you to step into this new self-expression. It wants you to step into your authentic self-expression and your confidence and be in your joy and just have fun and trust that your joy and fun will attract the abundance that you desire, that you don't need to be in fear and control and be a realist, you know? Venus in Capricorn is a realist. It's a realist around its self-worth. It's a realist around how it's going to make money. It's a realist around its relationships. It takes things very practically, and it can be very hard and critical of itself, critical in relationships, critical of its self-worth, critical of how it goes about bringing in money and feeling like it has to be very responsible. Because Venus in Capricorn is ruled by Saturn in Pisces, which is showing us that whatever is coming up around our self-worth right now in our relationships is related to our self-sabotaging behavior, because Saturn rules Capricorn and Saturn is in Pisces, revealing to us where we need to put boundaries around where we sabotage ourselves. Saturn can inherently sabotage itself. That's why it causes blocks in its life. It takes things too seriously. It compares itself too much to other people. It's too self-critical. And because Venus in Capricorn is squaring the North Node in Aries, it's causing a challenge between us being self-critical and causing our own blocks and comparing ourselves to other people and being too much of a realist and feeling like we need to have the perfect plan so we don't waste any time. It's squaring the North Node in Aries because the North Node in Aries is trying to be like, no, you just push forward as the self-concept you are. You own your worth. You be in your joy and your authentic self-expression, and you surrender the rest. You just tell yourself who you are every second of every day, and that will retrain your subconscious. And then the chips will fall where they may. You just do the work and the things that you value and the things that feel really fun for you to make money. And at the same time, you tell yourself, the more fun I have, the more money I make. The more fun I have, the better relationships I have. My authentic self-expression and my joy is my worth. I don't have to do anything else. Literally, who I am to my core is naturally abundant and joyous. And so all I have to do is remind myself who I am, and the rest of the chips will fall where they may. That's what I mean by combining skill and your effort with magic. So here's an example. Okay, so I'm really into A Court of Thorns and Roses. It's a book series. And I'm on the third book, and the main character, she is going into one of the towns and she wants to sabotage this kingdom, basically. And she knows different people in the kingdom and she knows their weaknesses. Now, her plan to sabotaging this kingdom went really well. It actually went even better than she had thought it would go. And the way she went about doing this plan is she went in with the intention that she was going to sabotage this kingdom by playing on the different people that she knew's weaknesses. So she went in, she knew what would provide value to her plan, provide a crumbling. She wanted the kingdom to crumble and fall apart. She knew that if she upset a bunch of the leaders, that it would crumble because they wouldn't be able to lead to their highest capacity. And so she worked on all of their weaknesses. She made the king really jealous by doing something she knew would upset him. She made this other guy upset by doing exactly what she knew would upset him. She knew this other high priestess in the court upset because she knew what would upset her. And then she just let the chips fall. She did her action. She did what she knew would be valuable. And then she said, well, this is going to do something to the kingdom. The queen is going to make the kingdom fall. And there is this point in the book where she's watching it fall, and she watches these different people that she triggered come together and start arguing. And she says to herself, oh my God, I did too good of a job at bringing down this kingdom. I did too good of a job at playing at their weaknesses. Look at what's happening right now. And in that moment, I thought to myself that is how the self-concept work has manifested so many things into my life, because you focus on the things that are valuable to you and in alignment with the intention or the self-concept. So her intention and self-concept was, I'm a person who can bring down this kingdom by working on their weaknesses. She didn't control every step of the process. The low vibe of the sun in Scorpio is controlling every step of the process, but that can sabotage us and actually cause more blocks in getting the end results. When we instead hold an intention and we do the things that we know are valuable in alignment with that intention, and then we let go and we allow the chips to fall, knowing it's going to work, and reminding ourselves of who we are and the self-concept we are and what we're doing, it does work. And it can work even better than you thought, because we're leveraging the power of the universe, the magic of the universe, with your effort, with your skill. So this has happened with me as well. When I started doing my self-concept work, I've told a lot of people on my podcast and my other social medias that I've manifested this office that I'm in. I manifested making a lot more money. I manifested all my one-on-one clients or soulmate clients. They're exactly what I wrote down on paper. And it's all because I was telling myself this self-concept. I make $5,000 a day easily and effortlessly, just being myself and having fun and impacting people. Literally, I say that to myself constantly. It brought me into a whole new elevation and way of feeling about myself. And because I was saying that to myself, instead of being like, okay, well, now how do I make sure this happens? I just trusted that me knowing that that's who I am, and then doing the things that were being me, because I said I make $5,000 a day just being me and having fun and impacting people. I just did the things that were me, that were fun. You know, I started recording astrology podcasts, and I only did things that were fun for me throughout the day while repeating that self-concept. Well, within a couple months, I had a top 10% podcast. Then within a few months, I started making way more money and manifesting in all my ideal clients. Then I manifested my office, and I wasn't forcing or trying for any of these things. And then just today, I made $5,000 today. I remember that's my actual self-concept. I make $5,000 every day, easily and effortlessly, just being myself and impacting people and having fun. Well, I made $5,000 today. in the crypto market. And I could have never guessed where I was going to make the $5,000 a day from. It could have been from crypto. It could have been from my astrology. It could have been from anywhere. It didn't matter. And if I tried to control that and said, no, I have to make $5,000 a day for my business, for example, and I tried to force it and think, well, how could I make more money? How could I do this? How could I do that? I did that before. My business never moved an inch. I've forced and controlled so much of my life, and it took so much longer to get to the end result. When you are in the self-concept of the person who has the things you want, you are in your power, and then you do the things in alignment with that concept. You do the things that are in alignment with ease and flow and just being in the present moment, and you allow the magic of life to come in around you and aid you, you get even more than you expected. Why? Well, when I started telling myself I make $5,000, that whole thing, you know exactly what it is. I'm not going to say it again. When I started saying that to myself, within a couple months, I had people telling me my energy was different. I literally had so many conversations in the last week of people telling me I seem so different. They can tell that my business is crushing it. They can feel it in my energy. It's just because of that self-concept. And all I did was that self-concept. I was myself and I had fun. I didn't try to figure out any hows. I didn't try to figure out an exact plan. And I trusted that that self-concept and me being me was going to bring the things in, and it did at hyper speed, way faster than I ever expected. That is combining your power, which is your energy. Remember, Saturn in Pisces is helping us put the Pisces work in to get our energy right. Pisces is energy work. When you show up in a sad energy and you're selling happiness, for example, people aren't going to buy your happiness. That's where I see a lot of coaches block themselves. I see so many coaches who are selling, I'm going to transform your life, and you hear them and they're saying the right things, but you feel something in them and you're like, I don't want to feel like how I feel from you. You know? So, and I know people have felt that way about me. I know people have felt that way about me because all I shifted was my self-concept, and everything shifted. That is your power. And so this square from Venus and Capricorn to the North Node in Aries is a square is a challenging aspect because Venus and Capricorn, it wants to stick with the rules. It wants to stick with what it knows. Capricorn is about rules and regulation. If the rules to building your business where you have to do all these different steps, and you're supposed to be stepping into this new bold version of yourself and just trusting your self-concept, that probably causes an internal conflict in you of like, what do you mean? What do you mean I just have to be myself and say who I am and own who I am, and I don't have to follow all of these rules? That I get to make my own rules? That causes a challenge within you. And so that is the challenge at this full moon, is we're really having to trust ourselves, to trust our worth, to trust our value, to trust our skills. And that's part of that breakthrough that we're having, this Uranus and Taurus breakthrough with this full moon. Now, I'll add this into the mix because a lot of astrologers are talking about it, so why not? Algo is a fixed star that is with this full moon. Algo is known as a malicious star. So Algo in Greek mythology is related to, and a lot of people think Medusa was evil and bad. She wasn't evil and bad actually at all. She was Athena's apprentice, and she was in Athena's palace. And Athena actually was more jealous of her and kind of a dick to her and kind of victimized Medusa. And so I guess one of the stories is Medusa was going around one day and she was saying, I'm so beautiful. I'm as beautiful as Athena, or like more beautiful than Athena. And Athena was like, no, you ain't. No, you ain't. I am going to turn your head into stone. So when you look at people, they're afraid of you because you're going to turn them into stone. And so people did fear Medusa, and because she was a little bit victimized. But what came from that was her head, once her head was beheaded and she transformed that head, her head then became a symbol of protection. So then people would end up carrying her chopped off head around to protect themselves. And so Algo really represents where we've been victimized, but then we transform it into power and protection, right? And that also feels like this full moon. There's something about this full moon around taking our power back by honoring our inherent value and realizing that no one can take our inherent value away. Athena tried to take Medusa's value away by making everyone fear her, because if you looked at her, you would turn into stone. But when Medusa transformed herself and cut her head off, now her head is actually something everyone wanted. They all wanted that form of protection. And so when you take your power back at this full moon and you stop projecting onto time, projecting onto people, scurrying around and thinking everything is outside of you and you have to control everything outside of you, and instead you take your power back and you realize all I have to do is tell myself who I am 110% of the time. From the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed, the only thing I have to control is ignoring my external reality and coming inward and telling myself who I am and cultivating an energy within me, doing my Saturn and Pisces work to cultivate my energy so that then it can open up my mind to new pathways and new things that I could do. That's what happened to me when I did my self-concept. I make $5,000 a day easily and effortlessly just being myself. I started finding new avenues of how I could get more visibility. I just started following my intuition, and I got on more podcasts. I found this podcast matching site and they got me on more podcasts. I started getting invited on podcasts. Why? Because I was unconsciously making moves because I was doing my Saturn and Pisces work, doing my self-concept work. I was unconsciously making moves in alignment with that self-concept because I repeated it to myself so many times that my mind opened up to new ideas, and then those ideas worked out and had an impact. And it's also because I believed they'd work out and have an impact because I was telling myself that self-concept. What happens when you do self-concept work 110%, and this happened for me, and actually my one-on-one client told me this just happened for her too, but if you go to meditate or when you're falling asleep, you'll notice that your self-concept starts playing in your dreams or as you're meditating. So when I used to meditate, I would close my eyes and just random shit would go on, like random stories, random daydreams. Now when I close my eyes, my self-concept plays out. It's like I've repeated it so many times in my head that now that story is playing out in my head, even when I close my eyes without trying to. And the same thing happened with my client. She said she was falling asleep the other day and she's like, Rachel, it's so weird. I was falling asleep and my self-concept was just going in my head without me consciously doing it. And that's partly how it works, is you're training your reticular activating system, and you can start to trust yourself. You can let go of control. You can surrender because you're in the energy. It's opening you up to new ideas and you're making new moves and you're just trusting it's going to work out in your favor. At this full moon, we still have Chiron and Aries sextile Jupiter and Gemini. So when we do our Saturn and Pisces work, we heal wounds around our sense of self because we're coming into a new sense of self, and then it grows and expands our mindset. It opens our mind up to new opportunities and ideas. That's what Jupiter and Gemini is doing. Of course, it's sextiling Chiron and Aries at this full moon as we heal a wound around ourselves and see ourselves in a new light and see ourselves as worthy and see ourselves as people who can simplify in our life and take our time. And that when we do that, that's actually where our true power comes from. So one last aspect I will talk about for this full moon is we do have Pluto in Capricorn opposing Mars in Leo, and Mars rules the North Node in Aries. So when Mars is in Leo, we are taking action from confidence. It's what motivates our action is fun and joy and our hobbies and romance and authenticity and taking risks. And so because Mars is in Leo and it's ruling the North Node, the more you lean into your joy and your pleasure and telling yourself, I'm a joyful person, I'm a pleasurable person. The more I follow my joy, the more money I make. The more I follow my joy, the more everything works out. The more you do that, that is opposing Pluto in Capricorn. It's almost like Pluto in Capricorn is the old version of you. It's the part of you you've been transforming since 2008. You've been transforming how you go about reaching your goals in the Capricorn part of your sky. Capricorn rules a certain area of your life. We're not going to get into that right now. But based on where Capricorn is in your chart, you've been transforming that area of your sky in order to achieve goals in that area of your life in a more surrendered, empowered way. You've likely not felt surrendered and empowered in that area of your life since Pluto's been there. It's been giving you instances where you want to control. And so because Mars is opposing Pluto, it's almost like this old version of us that wants to control is coming into opposition with this new version of us that wants to be self-expressed and in our confidence and in our joy, and trust that our confidence and joy will create the abundance that we want in our life. And opposition is like we're going back and forth between two energies. And so the power comes through you doing that self-concept work and releasing the control as you keep going after your goals. The last thing that I will tell you all about is the Sabian symbol for this full moon, to wrap a little bow around it. But we look at 25 degrees Taurus because this full moon is at 24 degrees Taurus. And the Sabian symbol for that is a large, well-kept public park. This symbol represents a place of natural beauty that has been cultivated and maintained for the enjoyment of all. It suggests themes of harmony between nature and civilization, collective efforts for the greater good, and the balance between personal and communal responsibilities. This full moon is asking you to cultivate a life that is enjoyable for you and everyone else. It's showing you that when you are in your joy, other people are in their joy. It's showing you when you're in your abundance, the world reflects to you abundance, that your power is the state in your natural self-worth if you choose to embody it. The thing is that a lot of us have had our self-worth taken away from us. We don't believe we naturally have self-worth. We don't believe we have natural beauty, which the Sabian symbol is about, but it's all there and it's a choice. It's a choice to be in your abundance and in your beauty and own your self-worth. And then it's also a choice to control and to believe life has to be hard and to take the hard path. But when you enjoy, other people enjoy. It's not selfish. We've been having the South Node in Libra because I think we've had a collective fear and trauma around being selfish and feeling like we need to be PC and help everyone and make sure everyone's okay. That's why we've been shedding that. We've gone too much into making sure everyone's okay. We've been going too much into being PC and projecting onto people and saying, oh no, I can't say that thing because I don't want to hurt their feelings. And so with the North Node in Aries, we've been coming back into balance by finding who we are and boldly owning who we are and realizing that we are the powerful ones who impact our external reality. Our external reality doesn't have the power over us. We can give our power away to our external reality and feel horrible like we've been feeling. That's why the South Node's been in Libra. We've been shedding that. Or we can take the power back and then impact our external reality from what we believe about ourselves. So it says it suggests the themes of harmony between nature and civilization, collective efforts for the greater good. It's not selfish to own who you are and become who you are because, like I said, it impacts other people. When I started telling myself I make $5,000 a day easily and effortlessly, being myself and impacting people and having fun, I started impacting more people. I didn't impact people before that when I was worried and trying to control and trying to force and trying to be the best I could be. When I was worrying about how good I was, I actually was not being good because we manifest what we think on the inside, outside. And so I started helping more people because I started feeling good. It's not selfish to feel good. It's actually your power. And then when you impact others, then that grows the power. You're not meant to do it all on your own. You're meant to be who you are so you can impact society and create a ripple effect. And that is the full moon in Taurus. So notice, where are you in scarcity? Where are you letting your fears run the show? And how can you take your power back by anchoring into the self-concept, the version of you who wouldn't dare to have any of those fears because it wouldn't make sense in your reality because you're this kind of person. You're the kind of person who everything works out for you when you follow your desires. You're the kind of person who makes a lot of money the more you follow your fun. You're the kind of person who has so much joy that your joy magnetizes and impacts people, like whatever resonates with you. I do self-concept work with my one-on-one clients, and usually it's like a massaging and we really get into the weeds of their chart and them and we figure out what's perfect for them to say. But you get to play with this. This is part of your creative efforts. Mars is in Leo. It's helping us be creative with our identity right now. So it's a really great full moon to anchor into who you want to be, follow a plan, and not need to control every step of the way, but allow the magic of life to assist you by you anchoring into your power. Have a great full moon, and I'll see you guys on the next video/podcast. If you made it to the end, drop a heart if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're listening to this on a podcast, I want to remind you that I'm doing a raffle to win a 30-minute reading. All you have to do is give me your email. You go down to the link below to enter the contest. Your email will give you 2 points. And if you want to write a review for the show, screenshot it and send it to shinyyourrayastrology@gmail.com. You'll get an extra point to win a 30-minute reading with me, and I'll pick the winner at the end of the month. All right, have the best full moon. I love you. You got this.